Most people think toxic relationships start with a slap. Nope. They start with someone who seems too good to be true. Someone who says exactly what you've been dying to hear. Someone who makes you feel like the most important person on the planet. David McCall doesn't show up in Nicole Walker's life as a monster. He shows up as a dream. And that's the whole trick. Because by the time you realize the dream has teeth, you've already handed him the keys. This is what a predator looks like when he's building the perfect trap. And the scariest part, it doesn't look like what they warned you about. Hit that like button and subscribe. Let's find this hidden pattern. Act 1. The 4 moments you missed. Let's talk about 4 specific moments in Fear that most people just scroll past. There's no violence, but they're the blueprint. Moment 1. The roller coaster. David takes Nicole on a roller coaster during their first real date. Seems romantic, right? Except watch what he does. He doesn't ask if she wants to go. He tells her she's going. And when she's freaking out, when she's literally screaming, he doesn't stop the ride. He touches her. He turns her fear into something about him. He rewrites her panic as pleasure. That's not spontaneity. That's a test. He's checking. Will you let me override your no? Moment 2. I've never felt this way before. David drops this line within days, and we're supposed to think it's passion, but here's the thing, real intimacy takes time. It's built through hundreds of boring conversations and awkward silences and figuring out if you both like the same pizza. What David's actually saying is, I need you to believe you're special so you'll stop asking questions. He means every word for exactly as long as she's useful. Moment 3, the best friend interrogation. Watch how David talks to Margot, Nicole's best friend. He doesn't ignore her. He doesn't blow her off. He studies her. He asks questions. He makes her feel seen. And then, later, when Margot becomes a threat, he erases her. He wasn't being friendly. He was mapping the exits, finding out who he'd need to isolate Nicole from. Moment 4, the chest carving. Everyone remembers this scene. David carves Nicole 4 EVA into his own chest, and the movie wants you to think it's unhinged, but to Nicole in that moment, it looks like devotion. It looks like someone who loves her so much, he'll literally mark himself. But it's not devotion, it's branding. It's a receipt. It says, you belong to me, and here's the proof. It's a self-portrait. Act 2. The vocabulary of control. Let's talk about the word David uses more than any other. Forever. At first it sounds like a promise. I'll love you forever. We'll be together forever. It's what every 16-year-old girl wants to hear. It's the opposite of being invisible. It's proof that someone sees you. But watch how the word shifts. Forever stops being about love. It becomes a deadline, a threat. When Nicole tries to pull away, forever turns into you don't get to leave. When her dad objects, forever means I'll outlast anyone who tries to stop me. The word doesn't change. The meaning does. And that's how control works. It uses the language of love. I'm protecting you becomes, you can't go out without me. I just want to keep you safe becomes, I need to know where you are every second. Where soulmates becomes, you don't exist without me. By the time you realize the vocabulary's flipped, you're already speaking his language. Act 3. Nicole's choice to disappear. Here's the part we don't talk about enough. Nicole isn't stupid. She's not weak. She sees the red flags. She feels that something's off. So why does she stay? Because she's been editing herself her whole life. She's the good daughter, the one who doesn't make waves. The one who smiles through her parents' divorce and her dad's new girlfriend and the feeling that she's always performing someone else's idea of who she should be. And then David shows up, and for the first time, she doesn't have to edit. He tells her she's perfect exactly as she is. He tells her she's enough. Except that's not freedom. It's just a different script, one where she's the lead in his story. And when things start feeling wrong, when he gets jealous, when he snaps at her friends, when he shows up uninvited, she keeps pushing forward anyway. Because if she admits it's not working, she has to admit she made a mistake. She has to admit she chose wrong. So instead, she chooses to disappear. She makes herself smaller. She apologizes for things that aren't her fault. She tells herself it's not that bad. You don't leave because you can't point to anything. Not yet. Not until the door is literally being kicked down. Act 4. The dream boyfriend is the system. Here's the twist the movie doesn't want you to catch. David isn't a glitch in the system. He is the system. Think about what we tell teenage girls about love. We tell them it should be all-consuming, that the right guy will be obsessed with them, that jealousy means he cares, that a real man will fight for you, chase you, refuse to take no for an answer. David does all of that. He's the bad boy with the soft side, the guy who rides a motorcycle but writes poetry. He's intense, he's passionate, he's all in, he's the dream, and that's the trap, because by the time you realize the dream has conditions, that it only works if you obey, if you perform, if you disappear. You've already built your life around it. The movie's playing with this. It knows you want to root for David at first. It knows you want the leather jacket and the grand gestures and the guy who makes the rich girl feel alive. It's setting the trap for you, and then it shows you what happens when the dream wakes up angry. Act 5. The door was never locked from the outside. The final scene of Fear is literal. Nicole and her family are barricaded in the house while David tries to break in. It's a home invasion thriller. It's a siege. But the real siege happened weeks earlier. The real door was the one Nicole closed herself. When she stopped trusting her gut, when she stopped calling her friends, when she started believing that love's supposed to hurt a little. The door was never locked from the outside. And here's what I think about when I watch this movie. How many of us are still holding our own tower doors shut? How many of us are still trying to make the dream work, even though it stopped feeling like a dream months ago? How many of us are editing ourselves down to nothing because we think that's what it costs to be loved? Fear came out in 1996. It's dated in a lot of ways. The fashion, the soundtrack, the fact that Mark Wahlberg's character has a pager. But the psychology, that's timeless. Because the movie gets something most people don't want to admit. The scariest relationships aren't the ones that start with violence. They're the ones that start with someone who makes you feel chosen. Someone who offers you a version of yourself that feels more real than the one you've been living. And by the time you realize the price of being chosen, you've already paid it. So maybe next time you're watching a movie like this, or reading a story like this, or sitting across from someone who seems too perfect, ask yourself, what am I editing out? What am I pretending not to notice? Because the trap isn't always obvious. Sometimes it looks like dinner with bad lighting. Sometimes it looks like someone who loves you so much they can't let go. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from the dream before it wakes up. If you vibed with this video, smash that like button and subscribe. Next up, we're breaking down Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. Catch you later.